Hey everyone, how's it going? So, I'm Vishal from Fallen Letters, and today I thought it would be a great time to do a production breakdown of our recent single Diminished, and hope you guys enjoyed. This was a song featuring Julian and the band Reflection. And as you can see my screen, we have the session open for Diminished. Just a reminder that this is not a mix breakdown, this is a production breakdown. You may hear some elements which does not sound exactly like the mix because this was obviously mixed by a professional mixer down from Sweden, whose name is Johan. Props to him. And that's the reason why the song sounds huge. So let's get started. Yeah. So the start off is pretty simple. We'll just break it into different layers. We have guitars, vocals, and some synth elements throughout the song, and then we have some interesting elements which I'll walk you through. So let's go. Gaze into this celestial abyss. Alright, so there's three layers here. One is obviously the guitars. Let's talk about that. Which sounds absolutely beautiful. I love the melancholic feeling of it. And this was a composition which was very impromptu. It just came when I was just jamming or practicing for my live. And obviously we use archetype Petrucci for this. We use a lot of neural DSP, as I show you, neural DSP labs and stuff like that. So for the guitar, mainly we use Nolly, Petrucci, and Rabbia for some synth elements. So this is basically pushed, which is the default preset. If you have Petrucci, you will have this. You should definitely use it. It's absolutely amazing, especially for these very nice, crunchy, atmospheric tones. And then we have the vocals of JP. Which again sounds absolutely beautiful. When I sent this song to him, I thought the vocals would start after one bar of intro, but he wanted to start it on the first bar, and I was like, okay, that's great, because vocal starting off a song is also very, very interesting for a lot of listeners because it hooks them immediately. And then we have some synth elements going on here, which is again beautiful. I use labs for my synth pads. Pedal pads is free. First of all, Labs is free. You have Labs Plus, which again has amazing features and amazing sounds. But I did subscribe to it. I'm using it. But for this one, I think most of it was just free patches. So Pedal Pads is free, and it sounds, as you can hear, it sounds beautiful. So we have the intro where JP introduces the song along with these guitars. And then we have these two guitars, which kind of creeps in on your LNR to build up to the blast. It has again that melancholic feel to it, which I absolutely love. And this builds up to the song as it goes. Alright, so before we go into the guitars, the bass and everything, I want to talk about a very interesting thing which I liked. So when JP recorded the trumpet for the later section which comes, which is a jazzy section, I like reversing things. So I reversed the trumpet and I tried doing something to fit it in some parts of the song. And then obviously like the creativity just flows through you and you're like, okay, this will fit at these places where this will fit at different places in the song in between, which kind of adds as a connecting layer to different sections. So in this case, there's a build-up which goes on with the trumpet reversed. This is the one. Again. And let's just quickly go through what else is happening here, right? So we have the guitars, we have the bass, we have the drums, we have the synth. So let me quickly break that down. So let's talk about the guitars. The guitars is a very interesting chord here. It's like a E minor and then you have the added A note on it. I honestly don't know theory, but I just know some basics, and this I don't compose using theory. It was just trying different things, just trial and error, and it sounded absolutely brilliant. And it sounds very much like what happens in Minerva, because I love that major disc minor sound there. So and let's talk about the tone for this. We are using archetype Nolly. I need to upgrade to the X, and then you have the prog metal rhythm VK, which I've made. It's a custom patch with some modifications, but the default preset of prog metal itself is insane. You guys should definitely try it out. I use this for all the rhythm for fallen letters. And then let's get into the drums. Let's just talk about the guitars and the drums now. So the drums is basically Mukund loves recording with his E-kit, and then he sends us the MIDI file, and then we kind of go through it and then make some changes if required, or send across the MIDI file to the mixer. And in this case, I just put it onto Easy Drummer because it has the mapping, and then do some basic mixing, as you can see here. And then this is how the drums sound like right now in this mix, in the demo mix. Getting the bass in. Getting the guitars in. Getting the synths in. Getting more synths in. Then we have my vocals. Yeah, so as you guys heard, there's a lot of layers there. I wouldn't call it a lot of layers, but there is a decent amount of layers. So let's just quickly go to a couple of things I want to talk about in this section specifically. So we already spoke about the reverse trumpets and everything. We also have the keyboard part going on here, which just plays on at different sections. It's just ear candy, you could say, which comes in. And then you have this very interesting synth lead which you hear. This is actually from Rabia. I use When Floyd Freezes Over a lot. It's insane. Let's just listen to that once. Sounds evil. So yeah, use Rabia if you want some great synth elements. And that is it with this section, and then we go into the next section where JP comes back, and there's an interplay between my vocals and his with a similar guitar pattern. This is what goes on. Again, JP's vocal sounds absolutely amazing. I love the melodies he came up with for the verses and the intro. And then we kind of build onto it, and then we jump into the next section, which is one of my favorite sections of the song. After this, so this is the jazz section, and there's a lot of unpack here, so I'll go through it quickly. The way the song started off, the way this section started off was with a bass line. Let me just play that first. So you have this groovy bass line going on here, and I really didn't think it would fit the song, but because it came around the time I was composing this, I was like, maybe it is meant to be. And then I composed some guitars around it, right, where it sounds more melancholic. This was from the Quad Cortex tones, if you listen to it. And then JP apparently plays the trumpet. And I was really surprised to hear that. I thought there could be a saxophone in this section. And I reached out and was like, maybe we need to look for a sax player. And then he was like, I play the trumpet. And I was like, oh, wow, this is definitely meant to be, and we need to do something. And then I had an initial melody on the trumpet. What should be on the trumpet. And then JP made it his own. And it sounds like this in context. It starts off with this. Bass. Quickly on the trumpet, I use Soundtoys for altering the pitch a bit, adding a little bit of the lower octave, so that with a little bit of mix, so that it has that lower octave harmony of sorts. And if you listen to it without that, it does sound a bit thinner. It sounds good, but I liked it with the yeah, all right. Well, that's a lot of delay there. Anyway, so then we had these sections built up in the order I showed you. And then the way we do is we have all of this. We have demo drums, which we send to Mukund, and then Mukund comes up with his own version of things. So let's listen to what Mukund came up with, which had a pushback initially from the band members because it was too jazzy. But then I like challenging my thoughts as well as the band's thoughts. I was like, maybe you should go with this. And this is what Mukund played. With the bass. That sounds pretty interesting, right? That sounds really interesting. And then the whole thing, obviously, you would have heard it. It sounds like this. Quickly, I forgot, there's a nice filter which kind of opens up from the high end when you listen to the drums here. As you can see, it's an automation. Let's listen to that. The reason I did this because I didn't want the drums to overpower the section. I wanted the trumpet to be the focus, and then the drum slowly comes in and gets more of the high ends, and the cymbals and the hi-hat sound more as it progresses, not with them from the start. It's some porcupine tree tricks right there. Actually, a friend of mine suggested that. His name's Nishant. You've seen him on acting and on our music videos, and I was like, yeah, this is a great idea. We should try this. So kudos to that. All right, so that's the trumpet solo, which goes into the next section, which is one of my favorites. So before that, we get introduced to beautiful acoustic guitars, and this is how it sounds in context. I'll break it down. Let's listen to the acoustic guitar, right? So this is the LNR, separate recordings of my acoustic guitar. I love acoustic sounds, and I recently got a Taylor, and I used that for this, which has a very, very bright sound. Of course, with some processing, actually a lot of processing, with some EQs. Obviously, I don't think the mix had the same signal chain, but it sounds very close. So we had this going on where it kind of builds up into the next section, which is, again, I love that section too. So here we have both me and JP singing, which is so this part when I sent it with the vocal melody, JP loved it a lot, and he wanted to write the lyrics and sing over it. So that's how both of us. I wanted a section where both of us come in because that would sound great, and this was the section for it. This JP's.
Of pure ecstasy shrouded in this grim on the edge, I'm reaching for the stars, infinite.
Quickly, I forgot to talk about the keyboard in the jazz section, which was very random at the last moment when I just pulled out my MIDI keyboard and I just played something which just came to me at that moment. I was in the zone, and it was pretty random when you listen to it. So when you hear it in context, I'll just play the last part. Which obviously adds a lot of it. And as you saw, that's Arturia. Sorry, not Arturia. It's Analog by Arturia Labs MIDI keyboards one, which I use for this, which again sounds great. And then the same keyboard comes in here when we are building up to the section with the keys, which is like, sounds really good. So we're entering into the last part of the song, and I was showing this whole thing which I had constructed to Aditya when he came over for recording some other stuff. And then I was like, do you want to add anything interesting to the song? Because obviously I love his additions. It always brings out a new element of foreign letters. Though this song was mainly done by me, a lot of the other songs in the album is obviously mainly composed by him. So in this, he had this lovely idea for an outro because we didn't know what to do for the outro. We just had the chorus kind of ending it. But then this outro sounded beautiful for the whole context, and this is how it sounds. Beautiful. So that's the chord progression which goes on. It introduces into the next section. I didn't want it to be just another chorus, so I kind of broke it down into where I'm singing without much drums, and there's a lot of delays going on when you listen to that. Space is so wide, but I feel so that's gonna take a long time to go away, but so when you say wide, I wanted it to be kind of wide literally, and then this is where that other guitar comes in as well, with the drums kind of slowly playing. Very cool. Still have this going on. And then here. So the remaining parts is basically the same as the first chorus we had. You keep hearing the reverse trumpets again when you do listen to it. And then we have the same synths. And then what else? Yeah, and then we have that bass line which just kicks in. We wanted this kind of a break, and then again everything drops really hard. And towards the end, we listen to it. We have the reverse trumpet coming in again to kind of connect the whole song together. And then we have Aditya's melody, which kind of ends the song towards it if you listen to it. The reverse trumpet. So that we have the synth also, which is very nice in the end. I personally felt that was the best way to end because I spend a lot of time on our song endings and I always wanted to have a message, and I felt this ending kind of gives that message of hope of what the song kind of talks about, where you're stuck in that mind of yours kind of a thing, while the space or the world outside is so beautiful, and it kind of asks the listener to get out of it. That's what I intended when I wrote the lyrics for this. So yeah, that's the whole production breakdown of the track, and I hope you guys like the song. If you did, please do share it with your friends, and we wanted to kind of do a contest as well, which we'll have more details on. So yeah, thank you for staying for so long, and if you like this, let me know in the comments. I'll do more for the songs coming out for our for our debut album, or the second. First was an EP this year. So yeah, thank you and see you guys.